is my first night in Japan, and tomorrow I'm going to Hokkaido, where I'm planning to hitchhike right from the north all the way down to the south. I'm staying in a capsule hotel tonight, and that's basically where you sleep in a cupboard, well, like a shelf. Everyone has their own little shelf. It's a really long journey, and it's going to be a really tough challenge, but I'm really looking forward to doing it.
I flew from Tokyo up to Wakkanai first thing the next morning and found myself in a frozen and all but deserted fishing town. I made it to Hokkaido first thing this morning. I'm in a town called Wakkanai, which is the northernmost town in the whole of Japan, and it is so cold up here. There's snow everywhere, just piles and piles of the stuff, and there's not really a lot else here, like at all. Where I am now, there's like this temple on top of this hill. There's nobody here, nobody working here, no visitors, no one. All the bars, all the restaurants are closed. It's so bizarre. It's like a total ghost town that I've been walking around in. I'm meant to be starting my hitchhiking from here to tomorrow morning, but there's like no cars. I've seen maybe 2 or 3 cars since I got here, so it's yeah. No, I'm not too hopeful that that's going to go well, to be honest. I'm going to have a bit of luck tomorrow that one of them will be able to take me a little bit further south, because at the minute I'm not too hopeful that anyone's going to be able to take me anywhere tomorrow. I spent that night preparing for my first day on the road by making some signs and some origami animals to try and make myself seem more friendly. I'd heard hitchhiking was seen as strange behaviour in Japan and that people would be reluctant to pick me up. Yeah, 6 o'clock, I've got 5 hours worth of travelling to do. So it's good that I'm out here. It's so cold. My hands, I forgot to bring gloves. My hands are chilling off at the minute. And I think this road is possibly going to be my best bet. Although there's absolutely nothing on it at the minute. That's what worries me. Alright, there's a really big lorry coming. Got my sign ready. I'm just hoping that there's 2 things actually. Let's just see if these guys are gonna stop for me at all. Nah, not at all. What about this lorry? Any changer? I think he actively drove further out into the road to avoid me there. Arigatou gozaimasu. Oh, arigatou. My Japanese isn't superb, but I think that absolute legend of a man just came out to tell me that basically I'm standing in the wrong place. He said if I go to Main Strito, which, you know, I think translates itself basically, just the other side of the shop, then I'll have better luck. So I'm going to go and try that now. Walked a little bit further along and I found myself a bigger and better, well, certainly busier piece of main road, which I'm a lot more optimistic about. It's like a huge part of the town that I must have completely bypassed yesterday when I arrived, which is kind of annoying because I spent so long all the way back there where there was no one, and now all of a sudden I found it. But that's a good sign. But I feel like at the moment I'm filming myself walking Japan, which is probably a tougher challenge than what I'm actually trying to do, which is just find someone to let me sit in their car with them on their journey. I'm not asking them to go out of their way or change their route just for me. All I want is someone to just let me sit in the car with them and drop me off when we get to wherever is closest to where I want to go. It's kind of really frustrating because it's such a simple thing to do, yet no one really does it. I was beginning to lose patience and wondered how I was supposed to cover the whole of the country when I couldn't even get one lift. But then, all of a sudden, I've missed it on my phone because I was trying to save memory. I've lost I've used so much, it took so long to get picked up, and finally I have my first lift. I'm in a big truck with a guy who's taking me around to Cape. And from there I'm going to try and get to Osaka. He's just laughed at me because he thinks it's too far, but we have a good start here anyway, so I'm really relieved to get my first lift. In order to travel south, I first had to head north to Cape Sawyer, the northernmost point in Japan. From there I aimed to reach the town of Asahikawa, which was a good 5-hour journey from where I was. So I've made it to the northernmost point of Japan, which is really, it's further north than where I was, but this is it. This is where the journey should begin. My first lift was with a guy called Yoshi, who took me to a town that didn't exactly fill me with hope of reaching Asahikawa by the end of the day. Bye-bye! Absolutely no idea what that is, but it doesn't sound great. There's very little here. I'm still a good 3 hours or so, I think, from Asahikawa. So, yeah, Christ knows how long I'm going to be here in this little town, but yeah. I was waiting for a good 2 hours, so it was nice of him to do that. He said if I wait here, I should get a lift. I think that's what he said. I decided to write a new sign and try my luck of reaching the next town. Luckily, I didn't have to wait much longer, as I was picked up by a man called Takeda, who took me an hour down the road to a town called Bifuka. From there, I quickly hopped from place to place and never had to wait longer than 15 minutes for a ride. I eventually arrived in Asahikawa 5 hours later than I had expected, exhausted and unable to film because all my camera's batteries had died. That evening I couch surfed at the apartment of a Japanese student whose accommodation wasn't quite as advertised.
It's the morning after my first couch surfing experience, and I don't know if I have a legal case here with the Trades Descriptions Act, because the person I stayed with, she's called Wakkanai, and she very kindly let me stay here last night, but she doesn't actually have a couch, so I'm on the floor in a pile of towels. She is still asleep up there. On top of that, like, chest of drawers thing, she's got like a bed up there. I'm gonna get up in a minute and leave to start hitchhiking to Sapporo and stay.
I wasn't waiting long before I got my first ride of the day, and was well on my way to Sapporo less than an hour after I'd woken up. I was picked up by a very friendly looking truck driver called Kazu, and decided to take the opportunity to try and brush up on my Japanese.
どこの人？
イギリス人です。
あ、イギリスね。
はい。
日本語喋れるでしょ。日本語喋る。俺
いえいえ。どうもありがとう。
寒かった？寒かった？
ちょっとすごい。Kazu drove me most of the way to Sapporo and even took me for lunch with some of his friends. After lunch I was waiting for another lift and I was given a great example of Japanese hospitality.
どこから来ましたか？どこから？
札幌に
行きたい。
I was then taken the rest of the way to Sapporo, where I stayed with a man called Yuki and his dog Shiro. The man I'm staying with now, he's called Yuki, and it turns out that he is actually the nicest man in the whole wide world. He just ran me a bath for absolutely no reason. I went upstairs to the loo, came back downstairs, and he just said, "Is it too hot?" And I said, "What?" I thought he was talking about the heating because his house is really warm. And yeah, turns out he was talking about the bath water. He just decided that it would be a good idea to run me a bath, and it was. It was beautiful. It was really, really hot and really relaxing and really nice. So I'm overjoyed that I'm here tonight. Really am. The following day, Yuki drove me 100 miles further down the road before dropping me off to carry on my journey alone. Before we departed, he gave me a valuable piece of advice.
Japanese doesn't like sunglasses.
Really? Ah. Why not?
Look,
Bad. I look bad with sunglasses. Okay, I'll try without. I hadn't been waiting long before I was picked up by a group of teenagers heading to a town called Moniwa. They were making a 4-hour round trip just to eat at their favourite burger restaurant.
Let's go! Let's go!
So why are you going to Mori?
森はeat.
Just there to
Yeah.
Really? Wow. They had invited me to eat with them, but I decided to get back on the road as soon as possible. I was soon picked up by a young father en route to visit his daughter. He drove me all the way to my hotel before giving me a ceremonial toot on his didgeridoo.
Thank you very much. Good story. Yeah. Good luck. Thank you. Bye-bye.
My journey so far had seen me cover over 400 miles, and now I was in Hakodate at the foot of Hokkaido. I had one last treat planned for my time on the island, but it wasn't all I had hoped it would be. So I'm at the Hakodate Tropical Garden, which I was told had an onsen, which is like a hot spring where monkeys swam in the hot spring. So I thought that sounds amazing. Perhaps rather naively, I've seen lots of footage everywhere. I mean, anyone who does like a film about Japan comes to Hokkaido would see the onsen monkeys, and they're always wild monkeys. And the guidebook said you can come here and see the onsen monkeys. So I thought, yeah, that's a good thing to do, but it's pretty awful here. They have like a really small pool outside and not really anything else. It's a really weird place. It's just a sort of a big greenhouse next to which there's a paddling pool and a bit of a climbing frame, just with loads of monkeys like thrown in. There's a lot of just like strange things, just loads of cacti and plants, and then a few animals dotted in for good measure, and that's about it. There's a bloke over sort of that direction playing the piano. Disappointing ending to my time in Hokkaido because it's been amazing. And the people I've met have been brilliant, and I was kind of really looking forward to this on the last day, but I guess it's been the only down point in the trip that's been really good so far. So I won't let it taint my view of Japan too much, I don't think. The next day I took the first train journey of my trip to cross over the sea into Honshu, Japan's largest island. I arrived in the town of Aomori feeling pleased with my progress, but any ideas that this was getting all too easy would soon be wiped from my mind.